All right, guys. So welcome back. This is week 4, lesson 2. Again, we're talking about stats here. Again, I'm trying to introduce you guys back into it with some ideas that you've seen before. On the first lesson, we looked at mean, median, mode, and the range, which allowed us to find central tendencies, and also the range tells us kind of what values our data lies in between. What we're going to do today is we're going to construct these box and whisker plots. Now notice I have the information set up here. I will have the information laid out for you guys, or I recommend that you always set up these tables here as you're going through and doing your box and whisker plots. That's all the information we need to come up with these plots. Why we make these box and whisker plots is because in all reality, any type of graph allows us to determine some information about the set of data. So what I want you guys to do is just be able to find that set of data, uh, plot a box and whisker plot, and then we can talk about kind of how does that box and whisker plot kind of tell us anything about our information. So when you're finding a box and whisker plot, you need these 5 pieces of data: the min, Q1, the median, Q3, and the max. Now, if you don't remember how to find those, we're going to go over that right now. Again, these examples I came up with is data that I just looked at myself. For example 1, we're looking at my screen time for the past 8 days, which obviously our screen time has gone up. Let me add, that's in minutes. Okay, so here's our data. Again, the first thing that we want to do here with our data is we want to reorganize our data so it's from smallest to greatest, right? So let's start off by doing that. The lowest is 66. Let's cross that out so we know that we used it. We got an 81 there. Good. We have 89, 90. We have 104, 114, 120, 182. Make sure we have 8 because I'm saying there's 8 days here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. Again, this is in minutes here. So what we're going to do is we're going to find this information. Now, the easiest way to go about doing this is we just have to kind of recall on some information that you guys know. The minimum and the maximum is the easiest place to start. The minimum is exactly what it is. What's the minimum? What's the lowest piece of data? I'm not going to leave that there because I'm going to put our graph right there, but minimum is the lowest. So in that case, 66 is our minimum. What's our maximum? Our highest piece of data, 182. Minimum 66, maximum 182. Now the median, we've done this, right? We went through on our lesson 1, and we found the median. That's when we just go through one at a time to figure out what's in the middle. Again, notice how we ended up with these two numbers here in the middle, 90 and 104. What we want to do is find the median, which is splitting those in half. To find the median, what number is exactly in between 90 and 104? We're just going to go 90 plus 104 divided by 2. Sorry, it got kind of tight there. So that's going to give us 90 plus 104 is 194 divided by 2 is 97. So our median is 97. Now, to find Q1 and to find Q3, we're going through the same process that we just did for the median. The only thing that's going to change here is we're only looking at either the first half of our data, that half, or the second half of our data, this half on the right. So what we do is we split that data in half. What splits it in half is the median. So we split it in half. Now we find the median of the first half. That's Q1. So we're going to go in one at a time. So 1, 2. Again, we end up with 2 numbers to find Q1, which splits those in half. 81 plus 89 divided by 2. 81 plus 89, I believe, is 170. Divided by 2 is 85. Again, that's only because we ended up with these 2 numbers here in the middle. If it's just one number, then it's a lot easier for you. Q3, same thing. We go in one at a time. We end up with 114 and 120. Now, if you're good and you can just figure out what's in between 120 and 114 off the top of your head, then go ahead and do that. If you can't, again, let me go here. I'm going to come off to the side here to find Q3. We're just going to go 114 plus 120 divided by 2. That gives us 117. So we found all the information that we need. Now the last thing that we need to do here to make our box and whisker plot is to actually graph it using that information. So let's come over here, draw a number line, and we're going to use that for our box and whisker plot. Okay, now let's just be strategic in how we set this up, right? Our lowest value is 66, our highest is 182. So let's just make a scale that works for that. Obviously, we should probably start at 60. And what I'm thinking, we need to get all the way up to 182. I'm thinking we make jumps of, let's say 40. So that's 100, 140, 180, and then 220. Now you can make whatever scale that you want there. I'm just trying to choose one that works the best for our pieces of data. Now we're going to go through and we're going to graph each of these, right? So the minimum is 66. 66 is going to be a little bit closer to 60. So I'm going to graph it right there. Hold on, sorry. Something like, I'm having some issues here. I'm going to call that the minimum. The maximum is 182. So a little bit to the right of 180. That's our max. We need to graph all 5 of these, Q1, median, and Q3. So Q1 is at 85. 85 is definitely going to be to the right here. Let's call it here. That's our Q1. Whoops, sorry. 85 here. That's our Q1. Our median's 97, so it's going to be on the left side of this. So these don't have to be super duper accurate. You just have to be as close as you can. And then Q3 is 117, so that's probably somewhere over here on the right. Now, how these box and whisker plots work is they're formed, the box is formed between Q1 and Q3. Q1 to Q3 is our box. The median completes our box. And then to make our whiskers, we just go out to the minimum and the maximum. Those are our whiskers. Now notice how I hand drew all of this. That's as accurate as we can be. If you have the data over here in this table and the box and whisker plot set up on the right hand side where the numbers should be in theory, that's fine. That's good enough for me. We're going to do one more of these box and whisker plots. If you feel comfortable, move on. You don't have to watch this part. If you don't, here we go. Example 2. This is from the YouTube videos that I've been putting up, showing how many people have watched them, which our numbers need to rise a little bit. But we have our set of numbers, and first step I'm going to do is reorganize them. So we have 1 is our lowest. We got 3. Let me get rid of that, sorry. 13, we have 2 of those. Well, I don't know what I'm doing there. 13. We got 15, 17, 18, and then 20, 37. That's all of our numbers. Again, we're going to go through and find this. Let's go a little bit quicker here. Start with the minimum, right? That's definitely the easiest way to start. Minimum is 1. Our maximum is 37, right? So you can go through quick. I'm just explaining how we got it at the top. Our median, right? We need to cut our pieces, our entire set of data in half. So we go in 1 jump at a time or jump as far as you want. We end up with 15 in the middle. That's our median. So we don't have to do anything where we add Q1 and Q3. Now this is where when we're finding Q1 and Q3, we're cutting our data in half. So we cut the median in half. We're not going to actually count Q1 and we count for Q3. So find Q1, again, it's the median of that first half of data. Q3 is the median of the second half. So we're going to count in 1, 2. We end up with these two numbers in the middle, 3 and 13. So to find Q1, we're going to do 3. Let me zoom in, sorry. 3 plus 13 divided by 2. 16 divided by 2 is 8, so that means Q1 is 8. We're going to do the same thing here on the right hand side. Hopefully you notice that we're going to end up between 18 and 20. The number that's directly in between 18 and 20 is 19. That's Q3. If you don't know how to get that, again, you can do 18 plus 20 divided by 2. That gives you 19. Again, that's all the information that we need here to do one of these box and whisker plots. The last thing, we're going to graph it on a number line. So let me draw this number line. I don't know, sometimes my colors don't come out perfect. There we go. And again, we're going to try to make a scale that works. Now our lowest is 1. That's our minimum. So obviously let's just start this at 0. Our highest is 37. So I'm thinking let's just make jumps of 10 until we get to 40. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and that'll reach all of our data. So again, what we're going to do is we're just going to graph each of these here. Our minimum is 1. I'm going to keep it all in black this time. Our minimum is 1. So that's like right here. Minimum. Our maximum is 37, so that's just a little bit in, right? Do you see how I'm making these lines here to make it real accurate? You don't really have to do that unless you want to. So we did our minimum, we did our maximum. We want to do Q1, the median, and Q3. Q1 is 8, so that'd be somewhere right here. The median is 15, so directly in between 10 and 20. And then Q3 is 19, so just a little bit in there. That's all the information we need. Again, to make the box, we just connect from Q1 to Q3. Make that median. And then the whisker is from that box. You just go out to the max and out to the min. That is our box and whisker plot. Now, how these help us is from looking at those graphs, we can find some information. Like, notice how on example 1, our box is a little bit smaller in comparison to the rest of the graph. Now, that could be my drawing to scale, but also it kind of just tells us we don't have as much information inside of there. Another thing, notice how far Q3 is from the max on example 1, which means we have some data that's real far away from our central tendency, which is Q1 to Q3. That box is kind of where the most amount of our data is. The max being so far away is kind of showing us that we have outliers. Now that's what we're going to look at in our last lesson. We're going to do an extension on box and whisker plots, but this is all we have for right now. If you have questions for me, please let me know.